scared to get in the water? Oh, Russell's in the water. Kokoro wants to get in the water. Molly, quit. Oh, Equinox is touching it. You're gonna get all muddy. So in the introduction, welcome back to Shakor Oil. I'm out here with Starlight and Pocahontas puppies, and Seer and Ame's last puppy, Russell. Kokoro, the piebald female Merle, she's ours, she's staying with us. The rest of the puppies are available. Zenith, this one, was supposed to go to a service home, but yeah. As I stated, people have been really weird with us lately. Not committing to anything, suddenly ghosting even though they expressed extreme interest. It's just been constant. As y'all know, we pair our puppies with families that we feel would suit them. And it seems like some of the interested people may have gotten upset about the fact that we suggested a different puppy instead for them. Don't really know. We don't know the reasons behind why a person would just disappear. But we've had it a lot. A lot of people also coming forward thinking they know something about genetics and then getting upset at the fact that our dogs have, copies of things. It's just not how it works in the collies. I don't know if we've talked about it in a while or not. Collies have CEA, MDR1, they can have DM, they can have CN, they can have PRA. DMS is something that all collies have. It's just a matter of whether they are low risk or high risk at developing symptoms of DMS. They all have it. We've only had 2 dogs to display symptoms of DMS, which has been Hibana and Inkwa. And basically the way it works, so Hibana, it has markers for DMS that is on the higher end of what they call low, but I would just consider it medium, essentially, medium risk. And the only symptom that she ever had was after she had her first litter. There was a time in which her face swelled up really bad. That was DMS, most likely. Our doctor thought it was, our vet thought it was maybe she got into poison ivy or poison oak, and we thought so too. But now, thinking back on it, it was probably DMS flare-up. You can breed them to be lower risk because it does come up as like, so Hibana carries A capital A and A capital B on the scale of DMS. The worst scenario you could have with DMS would be all capital A's, 2 capital A's and 2 capital B's, and 2 capital C's. C's is a different marker associated with DMS, so C isn't as important to test for as the A and B, but it's an indicator, if you will. Most dogs have double capital C, particularly UK Smooths, because I've looked at testing on them and they're almost always double capital C. So that one isn't, it's an indicator, not, okay, like A and B is your DMS risk. C is something different. I won't get into that. So Hibana has a capital A and A capital B, which puts her, in my opinion, at a high probability of having mild symptoms of DMS. We don't know what Inkwell was. I say was. He's still alive. He's going to a home in March, hopefully. They put a deposit down on him, so he should be going to a home. We can't ever guarantee. Likely, Inkwell was probably similar to Hibana and had A capital A or A capital B or both, or potentially even more than that. He could have 2 capital A's and a capital B or something like that. Different combos of capitals put them at higher risk. Kaki! Kaki! Whoop, 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 whoop! Come on back. Come on. Good girl. Bring the puppies. Good girl. CN is, what do they call it? Cyclistic neutropenia or something like that. It's bad. You don't want 2 copies of that. It's a recessive gene, meaning you have to have 2 copies to have symptoms, but it's bad when it happens. Like, you do not want that to happen. So it's important to test for CN. DM is degenerative myopathy. Again, recessive. We have a dog with DM. Have a collie and a pom with DM. And then, we had Mana, who has a copy of CN. So, Wallite, Sacer, and Paladin we know has a copy. LaForest has a copy of CN. So you wouldn't pair dogs like that. PRA, we don't have any collies with PRA, but we have a pom with a copy of PRA. Again, recessive, so you have to have 2 copies of it. CEA is the same. CEA, which is collie eye anomaly, causes small eyes, but that's what most people associate it with. But what it actually does is it causes bleeding behind the eye. It's not something you can see, but an ophthalmologist can see it. It's not something that really affects them, from what everyone can tell and understand. We have several double copied CEA dogs. Do we like it? No, we don't. We're breeding away from it. But here's the thing, it's so common. It's something that's never going to be truly gotten rid of in the breed, especially if they don't ever outcross. It's just not going to be possible. Not without some severe inbreeding, which, they're already doing, and it's causing problems. Herding breeds are prone to all these things that I'm talking about. MDR1 does have effects in single copy form, but it's worse In double copied form, it's multi-drug resistance. That makes them sensitive to certain drugs. Anyway, we've been having a lot of people coming forward wanting a collie, but when they find out they have all these things, or could have these things, or whatever, they get freaked out. Or they come forward thinking they know something about these genetics and how they work, and they really don't. And they still get freaked out or offended that we breed dogs that aren't clear. There are very few collies that are completely clear of genetic diseases. So you have to work with the ones that have it, breeding them with the ones that don't. That is what we are doing. But it doesn't happen in one generation. You don't get clear dogs in one generation unless you're inbreeding. It's just not how it works. So, I suppose my rant is to all you buyers out there. I'm not saying don't do your research, because absolutely do your research on the breed and the things that they are prone to. We are smarter than most breeders out there, but I'm not going to say all. There are some that are not very smart. But don't come to us acting like you know something about the things that we deal with every day. Let alone get mad or offended or whatever. It's rude. And it makes what we're trying to do that much harder. In the sense of, the criticism and acting like you know something when we've already spent multiple years researching into it. We're genetic testing all of our dogs. I mean, it's just rude. Before you go speaking on a subject, make sure you know everything. Because I will say there are a lot of sites out there in regards to genetic things in dogs that are incorrect. So if you just Google something, you're liable to get the wrong information. Like if you Google double merles, oh my God, there is so much misinformation about double merles. From mostly rescue-minded people that know nothing about it. And they basically demonize double merles and claim that it causes tons of health issues and stuff, that those things are not associated with double merle as far as the actual scientific research has gone. These things aren't studied very much because it's not a priority. So most of it comes from, breeders' experience, unfortunately. We have a double merle. That's Mana. That's Lilac Dad. He doesn't have any issues. He actually was very fortunate in that he wasn't even born with any of the eye issues either. He sees very, very well. The only thing is he's deaf. Why? I've explained it. The higher length merle, or more copies of merle you pile on top of each other, the more pigment it deletes. And if the pigment in the inner ear is deleted to white, it makes them deaf. Because you have to have pigment in your ear to hear. That's how it works. A piebald can do the same thing. In my opinion, I'd rather a deaf dog over a dog that has other health issues. Because there's nothing wrong with a deaf dog. Do they have a little bit of challenges? Yes. But there's nothing wrong with a deaf dog. Typically, they're louder because they can't hear themselves. You can't recall them, so, generally they need to stay on leash unless you train them to come to you with like a vibration on a collar, an e-collar. But otherwise, there's nothing different about them. They can be a little dense when it comes to reading other dogs' body language. But that's about it. Double copied CEA dogs. Let me point it out. She's likely double copied. She hasn't been tested, but her eyes tell me that she is. her parents weren't tested. That's another thing we struggle with getting prospects, is a lot of the collie people, or, you know, old timers, or have a certain way of thinking, they don't test their dogs. So we just have to get stuff and deal with it, hope the best. And eliminating bloodlines in collies is a super bad idea. It is a horrible idea, just because it doesn't fit the standard or your thoughts of perfection, such as it needs to be clear of everything. No. The breed will die out even sooner if people continue to do that. And I would venture to say they're already on a dangerous path. We're going to do our best, but there may come a time when we stop breeding collies because the lines are going to pinch, and we're not going to feel comfortable breeding them that way. Again, we have discussed outcrossing, but that's not a path we're going to pursue right now. And it may be that we just have our time with the collies, and it would get to that point where we don't like it anymore, because we're going to have to start inbreeding heavily, that we'll quit. It depends on what we choose. We love the collies. We absolutely do. They are the perfect breed for us. We'll see. We have thoughts, but we haven't made a decision, because outcrossing is one of those things that's demonized, even though it would be the best thing for these breeds that are wonderful, but they're dying. Again, we'll have to see how that goes. Peyton doesn't like me talking about it because we had no reputation. We just started, and already talking about outcrossing is, you know, super taboo. Everybody likes their purebred. Let me tell you something. A purebred dog, FYI, was once just a mutt. I mean, you guys realize that every breed out there is a mix of multiple types of dogs. They were just line bred. Purebred is inbred to look a certain way. That's it. There's nothing special about a purebred dog, except that, unlike a mutt, you're going to have more consistent temperaments and abilities because they've been bred that way. I mean, it's just ridiculous that people get on their high horse about their purebred dog. And I get it, because I don't think I would ever get a mutt again. Because of just the different things we've learned and what we like now. Well, like, good girl. Well, come back, girlfriend. Come on. But that's all a purebred is. Hold on. Come on, buddy. Through here. Come on, stop being stupid. A purebred is just a glorified mutt. They're just a mutt that's been line bred to look and act a specific way. That's it. There you go. Come on. There you go. Come on. Okay. And then the other thing that comes with purebred dogs is that you have pedigrees. But honestly, most pedigrees aren't fun to look at, because then you get to see all the inbreeding, all the line breeding that has created them. not fun. So again, I tell people, come on pups, this way. Do your research on the breed, not only in temperament and perhaps what you're able to deal with or want, but also do your research on the genetic stuff they're prone to. And if you don't want to have to deal with possibilities, make sure you go with a breeder that has the dogs fully tested. Now, things like hip dysplasia, I will tell y'all, hip dysplasia, even with a dog with 2 pairings with good or excellent hips, they can produce a dysplastic puppy. There's no way to predict that. It just happens sometimes. So don't get mad at the breeder if you end up with, that dud of a puppy. Be aware that that could happen. And if you love the dang dog, keep it and love it. Don't just throw it away because it's not perfect. Collies can be prone to heart issues. Those puppies still need a home. They need someone to love them. We do special things for our puppies that are born with issues in regards to like guarantees, and like we had a puppy in Love Me's last litter, Melanite. We called her Baby Melon. She has a narrowed heart valve that makes it to where essentially she could plunk over a heart attack any day. But we have a guarantee on her that covers 7 years of her life. So if she were to do that, they would get a new puppy. We do that kind of stuff. Other breeders typically don't, but some would. Talk to them. Be friendly. Be nice about it. Don't be angry because you end up with one that isn't perfect. Because it happens. No different from people that have disabled children, that are born, or children that are born with birth defects. Dogs have the same thing. And they still need a home. They still need someone to love. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And that is most likely that puppy will be euthanized. Because no one wants it, and the breeder doesn't want to have to keep it forever either. Breeders are not long-term boarding facilities. We're here to be improving the breed and providing families with companions, not keeping every single sad story that comes through. Now, we will do that, but I'll even say, under certain circumstances, there would be puppies that we would euthanize. Melon probably would have been the case if we hadn't have found someone who decided to love her and had the capacity to pay for the potential surgery that she needs. Most people wouldn't have that. I mean, it's going to be like a $15,000, $20,000 surgery, and it's going to be entirely covered because of what they have. So, you people out there that want a dog and has the ability to do that kind of stuff, look for those special ones. So you may not have them for as long. It's okay. You get to love another. I know it hurts. But with any of them, even a perfectly healthy one, we don't know how long we're going to have with them. They could be gone tomorrow. We've had that happen. I guess what I'm trying to say is be understanding. And be willing to take on something that's less than perfect. And if you can't stand the thought of ending up with that, having to deal with a potential tragedy or whatever, please just don't get an animal, period. Because it hurts us when we're having to deal with stuff like this. Or hurts us when, we have puppies returned for what seems like no reason. Again, we can't be in those people's homes, but the reasons we've been given haven't been good enough. We don't understand it, and it hurts the dog. Think through things before you purchase. If a sudden tragic death in the family is all it takes for you to get rid of your dog, you don't need one in the first place. I would never think of doing something like that, because I would want the dog there to comfort me. The only thing that would put us in a place of needing to get rid of our dogs would be financial. But we would do our best to find a way to make it work prior to making that decision. Behavioral issues, if it is a true behavioral issue, we understand behavioral euthanasia. We've done it twice. So we understand it. But you need to give your breeder proof, solid proof of, what's going on when it comes to circumstances. Or give it back to the breeder for them to deal with that. If you can't deal with it, yourself. And I'm not talking as if, these kinds of things have happened to us or recently happened or whatever, other than, Rooster and Sparrow being returned. I'm just talking as a whole, the things that breeders have to deal with, rescues have to deal with. Just think about these things, please. Animals are not playthings. They're a living being. And once they're there with you, especially collies, they get very attached. They should be there with you for life, barring very unusual circumstances. I'm grateful that Sparrow and Rooster have been returned to us, and now they can have new homes. Sparrow went home to his new home yesterday, actually. And as of right now, he's doing good. He's doing all right. We'll see how it continues to go. But the people that took him are also very good people, or have been so far. So we're very hopeful for that. So I'm not talking in a, okay, I'm going after people or whatever. That's not it. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated. I'm frustrated with people. Frustrated with people on a daily basis. I'm saying, be aware of these things, please, and consider it before you come to us, or go to any breeder. Just as everybody wants a breeder to be top-notch and perfect and they do all the things and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what we want from you guys? We want the same thing. We want you to be aware of all these things before you even come to us. We want you to be dedicated and committed to the puppy you're taking. We want you to be honest with us on how things are going. Do you need help? We want all this from you guys. We are here for our puppies. So, I guess my point is, as a buyer, be responsible and do what you need to do before you even think about adding a dog to your home. That includes evaluating your home. Are you even going to be able to care for it? Spend time with it? It's no different from my child. Are you going to get frustrated and lash out? Think about these things. I don't want to take away from the beauty that is owning a dog, because it can be wonderful. There's a honeybee that's harassing me. Stop it. Golly. Not at all. Because we've been in less than perfect circumstances and still chose to get the dogs, but we were dedicated to them. Dedicated to providing and taking care of them. All I'm asking of you guys is you do the same. And if you don't think you can handle it, just admit that to yourself. And don't get a dog at the time. There may be a time in your future where it'll be the best time to do those sorts of things. That's what I'm saying. Because we don't like to be harsh on people at all. We've been through stuff in life. But when you behave a certain way, it's irritating. And then it makes it harder for us, harder for the puppies. It's a tumble down the hill sort of situation. In case anyone is wondering, Pecky's in heat, and that's why she's just out here by herself. Lolite was also in heat, but she should be relatively out of it now. Oh, we're out here with the puppies. And if something happens in the middle of y'all, one of y'all, a buyer trying to get information from us, contact us about a puppy, interested in a puppy, and something truly happens, just say so. Or you're not interested anymore for whatever reason, just say so. It's better to leave on a positive note, on a note of expressing whatever has gone on, than it is to just ghost. I will tell you that right now. Breeders hate ghosting. Because we're going to make assumptions, as people do. We try not to assume anything, because we're like, any day someone could just drop dead that we're talking to, and but it is annoying. And another thing I would say don't do is don't be asking multiple breeders at once about puppies. Focus on one breeder at a time, please. This bee is still after me. Will not leave me alone. I don't know what its problem is. Golly. Okay. It just feels really icky if you were talking to us and then we suddenly found out that you just went out the other day and got a puppy from somebody else, or got a puppy free from Craigslist or whatever, and yet you expressed as if you cared about where the puppy was coming from. That's gross. It's just really sleazy behavior. We've gotten a lot of that as well. All these people coming in acting like they care what the breeder does or the health testing or whatever. Stern bee is back. Golly. I don't know if it's because I'm wearing a pink shirt or what. I've gotten a lot of people like that too. Well, they act like they care, And then they're just like, oh, well, you know, I just got this puppy that's free, or $500, or it's just this raggedy little mutt they picked off the street. And I'm not bashing you for making your own choice. What I'm bashing for is you are talking to one of us, expressing extreme interest, wasting our time just to go and do this. It just doesn't feel good at all. And it doesn't make you look good either. Now, under a circumstance where it just kind of happened, you found a dog and you wanted to help it, and now you feel like you can't manage, you know, getting a puppy from us, that we understand. But intentionally going somewhere else while speaking to us, nah. No. Finish one conversation at a time with one breeder at a time. If you don't like what's going on, move on to the next one. It's as simple as that. Don't be so fickle. I don't even know what to call it, to be honest. It just doesn't feel good. There has been times in the past where we were looking at a puppy, talking to a breeder about a puppy, and one or the other of us found one that seemed like a better prospect. And we would simply just tell them that, you know, we were no longer interested right now for whatever reason, or that we had found a better prospect, whatever it may be. They'll probably still get offended. We wouldn't over something like that. I mean, people get attached to certain energies most of the time. And if you feel like a different puppy's a better energy for you, all right, you know, go for it. That sort of thing is a little different. But just intentionally shopping about and just grabbing whoever gives you the key first, no. It just doesn't feel good. Okay. No. Why did I spank for that? I used this, by the way. It's hollow, basically. It's rotted out. Not hollow, but it's rotted out, so it's not a heavy stick. I just popped him ecliptic on the butt. He was humping walleye. We do not allow that. What do I mean by that? He's just a puppy. He shouldn't be doing that. And even with our other males, if they tried that right now, where she's not in heat anymore, they'd get in trouble. They would get spanked for it. It's as simple as teaching them manners. Most of the time, we let the female do it, but sometimes they won't. So you just gotta stand up for them. That was not appropriate behavior, and he's probably doing it because he's tired and he's hungry, and she still smells kind of heaty. That is likely why. And when a puppy is tired and hungry and they're doing behaviors like that, it's best to separate them. Yeah, see them getting into fights. It's best to separate them and let them wind down. Take a nap, whatever they need to do. If they don't go to sleep, then just let them wind down for a few minutes. Reset, basically. We're gonna have to tape her ears soon. So we found out for Kokoro, because we're keeping her for a show prospect. But potentially gonna do confirmation with her. Gonna try to do scent work with her, because she's just like her mom. She's totally into smells. We found out that there's two different types of tipping. There's hard tipping and soft tipping, and we'll be doing soft tipping on any of the ones that we choose to show. And essentially what occurs with soft tipping versus hard tipping is hard tipping it glues or tapes it in such a way that it folds the ear completely flat, so it literally breaks the cartilage. Soft tipping, you just put some glue or tape on the tip of the ear and pull it down to stick, so it leaves an open, like you can see between the two ear parts. It's called a soft tip because typically what it does is it doesn't break the cartilage so much as it makes it grow in more of a rounded shape. It also makes it to where most likely when you stop taping, the ears will just stand up versus being broken over. So for her, we're going to start taping her ears in a soft tip and for show, but as soon as we decide we don't want to do that anymore, we can stop taping it and they'll probably just stand up. But we were waiting for a certain point in which to start tipping her ears over, and it looks like we may be getting to that point. Might have to wait a little bit longer for that right ear. Right ear's not quite standing up enough. People's opinion on that will be vastly different. We don't really care. We're doing what's best for our dogs, with still being able to participate in the show ring if we want to. I will say it like that. I don't want to go into specifics because I don't know everything about the show ring. We're not in it. We've heard plenty of things. We've read plenty of things. It can be a very nasty world to get into. In many ways, there are people that cheat constantly. There are people that cheat in a different sense because they know the judge, and the judge, they're friends with the judge, so then they end up winning over someone else, even though there's a different dog that had better conformation. It's bad. It's not what people think it is. It also doesn't prove anything about temperament or a dog's worthiness of being bred. Because guess what, you guys? You can trot a dog around a show ring and it has the worst temperament on the planet. All it has to do is trot around. And there was a perfect example of that recently at a national show, no less, where a dog won that had literally just mauled another dog in the show ring. Okay? Mauled another dog in the show ring. This breeder was known for having aggressive dogs. And then it won because the breeder was friends with the judge. Y'all see my point? Do you see my point now? Why we are so adamant about disliking these things? It is not what you think. And everything you Google and everybody's saying, oh, we'll only get from a reputable show breeder, blah, blah, blah. No. Get to know the breeder. That's what I would tell you. Get to know the breeder, what they're about. Look at the pedigrees. See whether they're inbreeding their dogs or not. Showing does not matter. Yes, breeding your dogs for proper conformation does. We are aiming for that in all of our dogs. Are we aiming for the standard? No. We're aiming for proper conformation in a dog. Because there's a way in which all dogs should be being bred because it's what's healthiest for their body. There is a shape that is healthiest for all breeds across the board. And if you're not striving for that as a breeder, you are not a good breeder. You're just average, or you may even be a bad breeder. I don't know. For us, a bad breeder, what we would label a bad breeder, honestly, if you want the honest truth, is anyone who chooses to inbreed. And when I say that, that has to be put in context. Because there is a level of line breeding that is good. But what most people do is horrible. And the reason they do that is to maintain a look. That's the only reason. To maintain a standard. And there are horrible dogs that go on to be studs or whatever, temperamentally. I'm talking about temperamentally, just because they're beautiful everywhere else. Happens all the time. We're not perfect. Our dogs aren't perfect. We just got into this. But we are doing our very best to do it right. I will say that. And yes, we want to get in the conformation ring. We want to get into fast cat, scent work, whatever our dogs are interested in doing. Each individual dog. But for the conformation, we will only do it so long as it's enjoyable to do. And I guarantee you that as soon as it's not, we're not going to be doing it anymore. And that could happen very quickly. We're going to start out in all dog shows and see how that goes. Meaning all breeds. It's an all breed group judge. See how it goes. But I'll tell y'all, people can be just absolute downright nasty. Kokoro is beautiful. Kokoro is beautiful. In our eyes. But the other collie breeders, they would scoff at her. I guarantee it. And it's just sad. It really is. And that's another thing, is every breeder has like different things that they like. You know, general looks about a dog or whatever. And I think that's fine. So long as the dog generally looks like the breed. You know, I think it's fine that individual breeders have a look that they like. There's nothing wrong with that. And there are variables within every breed. It's just the way it is. You can't control things like that. You control things like that and it turns out bad. Diversity is the spice of life. It puts sturdiness, hardiness into the lines, makes them healthier alongside genetic testing and breeding properly. That's how we view it. You're chasing her tail. You're so silly. You're so silly. No, don't jump. Okay, that's it. Good girl. Good girl. These puppies are very confident for the most part, but I'll tell you what, they do like to jump on you. More so than any of our puppies have. They like to jump on you, which is no surprise, really. Starlight likes to cuddle. And she can be quite annoying about it. And this little girl is very persistent about it. She just wants to be cuddled and fussed all over and likes to jump on you, and she's a mess. She's super sweet, but that's all she thinks about. It's made her difficult to train as of right now. I don't want to call her not the smartest, but how do I describe it? Each dog, each puppy has an individual personality. I said it before, that makes them easier or harder to train. More pleasant, less pleasant to train. There's good words for that. Kokoro is going to be a little bit harder to train, not because she isn't smart, because she's super smart, but because she has the same thing. She wants to get in your face and cuddle you. So that makes her a little harder to train, a little harder to get to focus. It's not like Lawlight, who has the focus of a daggum assassin. Me and Peyton were talking about that just the other day. Lawlight, you guys, she has the most intense eyes of any of our dogs. She is so focused on everything around her. And she would be one that would be super easy to train. I mean, I trained her to sit as a puppy within one time. It took one time of her doing a sit and getting a treat for her to realize that's what she had to do. She's just, she's very sharp. That has made her very intense toward the other dogs. But both her and Caesar's already past her heat, so we see it in her. She's just getting past her, so we'll see. But they have calmed down a lot after their heat. I mean, you see her. I'm not saying she won't play or bag on people or whatever, but her shift in energy, you can feel it. It's palpable. She's a lot calmer. That doesn't typically happen. It can happen. We've had ones have a heat and it just seems to kind of drive their energy into the roof until they're past a couple of heats. Chi-Chi was that way. Chi-Chi's more calm now. She's so pretty. I'll zoom in on her. She's such a pretty dog. That is a gorgeous dog. Anyway, Chi-Chi. She's coming off that high that she was on, but she's still a very energetic dog. She's still up there. So she will have more high energy puppies, most likely. That's it. All over there for some reason. Might go inside soon. I've been doing this video for almost an hour. We'll probably do Fast Cat with Coco as well. I'm gonna do Fast Cat with Caesar and Lawlight if they want to. I mean, really any of the dogs that want to, we're gonna attempt to do it with them. We'll do what we can when we have the time. But it's not for you guys. It's not to prove anything to anyone. It's because we want to. We don't feel like we have to prove anything to anyone because we live with these dogs every day. We know what they're like. We know how hard or easy they are to handle. And we tell people that when they're interested in a certain pairing or puppy. But I tell you what, people just don't listen. They think they know what we're talking about or that they have that capacity. That's what I mean by know your capacity when it comes to what you're willing to deal with. And if we say something is potentially going to be a tendency for a puppy, please consider it. Please think about it. Okay? We're not just, saying things. Now, there have been times when we thought there was going to potentially be an issue with a puppy, and there wasn't. But we've also been right about most of them. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna go inside. It's starting to get dark. So, see you later.